Hello, Dandavat Kumkum. I can't hear you.
Okay, there we are.
Hello.
How is everyone?
Good, and you?
Good. Yeah. Happy to be here in Villa Govinda.
Jai.
So, when I first heard this topic, I thought we don't usually hear exactly this. It is one simple direction. So, here it is. So, how sweet to meditate on this. And there is an example of Gurudev talking about one simple direction, and it's in the talks about when do you begin Govardhan Puja, and this is given in Prema Dharma and other places. You can find his discussion on this, and so his point is very relevant actually for other things as well. So there was this, I'll just read in Gurudev's words the way he explained. In the time of Srila Guru Maharaj, a large disagreement occurred about the style and law for offering worship on Sri Govardhan Puja. Everyone decided that whatever Srila Guru Maharaj will say about it will be the most authentic. So they organized a meeting. I was present at the meeting. It was maybe 3 to 5 years after I came, so I was also qualified at that time. So many pundits came as well, as many big sannyasis, Sripad Keshav Maharaj, Sridhar Madhav Maharaj, and others. A very elaborate discussion occurred, and then Srila Guru Maharaj gave the final decision. Regarding what will be the time to cook and what will be the time to offer, Srila Guru Maharaj summarized everything in one simple direction. He said, You do not need to be concerned about so many contradictions. Follow only this. Start cooking during Pratipatiti and make the offering to Govardhan before the end of Pratipatiti. This is the law. And if you read the entire discussion by Srila Gurudev, you can see that there were all kinds of things put forward about how to how to interpret the TTs and how confusing it can be. And like Gurudev was saying, many sannyasis, I mean, it was not a simple discussion. It's not only we who wonder, may sometimes become confused that maybe there's some uh, it seems redundant or it's conflicting. We don't know what to do, which direction should we take. But even very exalted personalities. And for one thing, they're all turning to Srila Guru Maharaj. They're all feeling that if they hear from him, then it will be resolved. But Gurudev is pointing out that the answer was quite simple. So I was just thinking how this really applies to our everyday life. And it directs us. We want to accept everything that is favorable and reject everything as unfavorable. So, for one thing, we can think about avoiding the wrong direction. Sometimes the direction might seem simple, but that doesn't mean that it's the way we should go. And in Search for Sri Krishna, the chapter called Fossilism versus Subjective Evolution, there's a section called Karmic Boomerang. And Srila Guru Maharaj explains here, material science is only increasing the circumference of the mortal world, but increasing the tendency of exploitation cannot help us. Science is only borrowing, extorting power from nature. According to Newton, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. We must be conscious of this fact. All our acquisition here is nothing. Like a boomerang, it will come back to zero again. So, scientific progress is no progress. It is so-called progress in the wrong direction. Actually, the first principle of any living body is to save himself. That is the first principle, And that should be our starting point. In the Upanishads, it is said, Asato masat gamaya tamaso ma jyotir gamaya machor ma amata. Gamaya, I am mortal, make me eternal. I am ignorant, filled with nescience, take me to science and knowledge. And I am threatened with misery, guide me towards bliss. We should begin our research work in these three phases: how to save one's own self and save the world, how to remove darkness and attain light, and how to remove misery and taste nectar, the sweet life of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Satchidananda, Satcham Livam Sundaram. So Satchidanandam is the eternal situation for all souls. But what we're experiencing now is not Sat, it's not Chit, and it's certainly not Anandam. So when we're considering what direction should we take, we should be making sure that that's what's the direction that we're going in is leading to that. Not necessarily just because it's simple, because like he says here, avoid exploitation of this world. If we're just building up some karma, we're just exploiting, that might seem like it's giving an immediate way to go and a way to attain what we need. That also means it would be easy. It seems like that to us. It would be very easy. But it's not a good idea. And Gurudev says, our policy should be to make the best use of a bad bargain. Somehow or other, we have already come here. So now we have to utilize our time and energy in such a way that with the least exploitation, we can get out of this world. So he's not saying here with the least amount of energy and trouble, we should be able to be happy in this world. So right now, I'm wondering if somebody has some comments you'd like to give on this. And there's Lavanyamoi also. And another Lavanyamoi. Yay. This is so basic, but unfortunately, we can see that it's easy for us to proceed in this wrong direction. We've been doing it for so long, and sometimes it seems like our suffering is too much. So we want to get something more expedient. We want to just go for the nectar. But he's advising us against that if it includes exploiting. All right, so just tell me if you want to say something, if you have something you'd like to contribute. And it also made me think, what guides us to that proper but simple direction? So if we're not to go in a wrong direction, which is the opposite of progress, which means it's not a direction at all, then how do we figure out where is the proper direction? And for that, I was looking in Search for Sri Krishna in the chapter called Nectar of the Holy Name, God Through Sound. And I thought, boy, it's no surprise that that's where I found some very nice enlightenment about how do we figure out what is the correct direction. So God, yes, but how? Through sound. And Srila Guru Maharaj explains, Rupa Goswami says that only a superficial study of the Vedas will frustrate us. But if we search with a positive mind, by the grace of the sadhus, the acharyas, and the mahajans, we will find that the principal shrutis are leading us towards the conception that the whole object of all the Vedic sounds is that central sound, the holy name of Krishna. There are so many sections of the Vedas that have come to distribute the tidings of the absolute realm. but there must be a center. So the principal sounds are all emitting light, like a torch, to show us that they have a central sound, which represents the supreme whole, and that is Krishna. So many liberated souls are all around, offering their respects to the name of Krishna, that central sound from which all Vedic mantras have come to give us some idea of the sound aspect of the absolute center. This is Rupa Goswami's argument. The branches of the Vedas are all sounds, and so many sounds must come from a central position. They cannot but direct one who has a proper eye towards that fountainhead of sound, saying, "Go, run towards that direction." In our source, you will find everything. We are all partially representing so many things, but we have a center. We have a fountainhead. Go in that direction and you will find the sound that can sufficiently satisfy you. And you may also be introduced to other aspects of that sound. The holy name of Krishna is most important. It is no less than Krishna himself. It fully represents the whole. Rupa Goswami says, "O holy name, I can take refuge under your lotus feet. You are the grand central sound who has given cohesion to all the sounds in the revealed scriptures." So this explanation coming from Rupa Goswami that Guru Maharaj is telling us about is stunning. Because if we think about how many Vedas there are and how many societies there are and have been for how many centuries and millennia actually, to study the Vedas. And it's all about the sounds that are coming from the Vedas. And it's all about all of the answers, so many ways to approach, so many people know, and they're approaching these particular sounds coming from the Vedas and studying and giving lifetime after lifetime, even if that lifetime is the kind that lasts hundreds of years or thousands of years. And they go on trying to find out what is it actually that the Vedas are teaching us. What do these sounds actually all give us? But we have been told. And so this is the grace of Sriman Mahaprabhu, and this is the line that we're in. Rupa Goswami explains that so well. It's the holy name of Krishna. And we remember that picture of how the holy name is outside even Gayatri mantra. It's introduced in the very beginning. The holy name is distributed anywhere and everywhere. And we want for all souls to be able to taste why Mahaprabhu says all souls must be tasting this, must accept this. How can we best convince them of that? And then more elevated even is Gayatri mantra, and there's so many qualifications that we can find. Yet beyond all of that, even after liberation, the same holy name is still there, going all the way to Goloka, and will take us all the way to Goloka. So this is our main teachings. Maybe iPhone would like to make some contribution here. Okay, be thinking about it. If you think of something you'd like to say, we all like to hear these things. And you better unmute yourself and speak up, because I might not see if you say something, but I would hear it. All right. Then what we want is to be connected. And not only to be connected with this teaching, but we want to be steadfast. Now that we've figured out what is the direction, and that direction which is taking to that which is perfect for us. So we first consider that we need a guide. We need to accept a guru. So looking in Sri Guru and His Grace, the chapter called Surrender to Sri Guru, the genuine guru is the section where Srila Guru Maharaj is explaining, we must accept any way and any alliance that will help us gain entrance into that realm. We shall try to have even the slightest connection with that perfect goal of our innate aspiration. We are helpless, we are hopeless in the midst of disappointment. He even says, we are in extreme danger. We rely on our free will, our capacity for selection for our own good, but it is too minute and helpless to guide us. What danger we are in. All around us, we are witnesses to this danger. How important is a real guru who can guide us to our real welfare? We are in the midst of different forces that are drawing us, attracting us toward different directions. So proper guidance is the most valuable and the most important thing for all of us. If we accept direction from anywhere and everywhere, we will be misguided. Therefore, we must be careful to get proper direction. That direction has been given by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 4:34. Tad vidi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshayanti te jnana jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. To understand transcendental knowledge, you must approach a self-realized soul. Accept him as your spiritual master and take initiation from him. Inquire submissively and render service unto him. Self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you, but they have seen the truth. So, such an important and famous verse, but to have Srila Guru Maharaj's further elaboration on why this is so important is most helpful. And he points out that we have our free will and we rely on it. Unfortunately, that's the case. Even though we often recognize what kind of danger we're in, we still go back to relying on our free will. We even rely on our ability to interpret or think that we're understanding what our perfect guru is giving us. But we come into this life with a tendency to delude ourselves. So we never give up trying to listen to our guru and to be very, very strict about adhering to his words and his guidance. He gives us instruction. That is for guidance. It's not for making us into a perfect practitioner in the external sense, that we can get everything exactly right. Our music teacher might do something like that. If we're an athlete, they might do that. They want us to do something perfectly and for it to appear to be perfect, sort of mechanical. And that's not why our guru is giving us important instruction. It's to protect us all the time for taking a slight detour. We must be careful to get proper direction. Okay. Does somebody have some question? I know this is something we're all trying to pursue all the time. So in the pursuit of this, does somebody come up with things you wonder about? How to make sure you're getting very close to exactly what your guru is telling you? Does it make you think of sometimes when you've heard Srila Gurudev or Srila Guru Maharaj talk about exactly that? The necessity, it's not that we beginning students come to a conclusion that we're already there. So there's some other points that, of course, many, many points, but exactly on this that I was inspired by. If we are determined to remain true to hearing our guru all the time, we've accepted him, we believe in his perfection, and we want to perfect ourselves. Many tests are likely to come, and this will be a challenge for us, but it's also very good because that's how we'll find out where it is that we're lacking, the kind of things we need to change. And I find in Sri Guru and His Grace, again, in the chapter called God Consciousness versus Society Consciousness, there's a section about the disappearance of the Guru. And there's so many aspects of that that we always will be considering. But here, Srila Guru Maharaj is saying, there may be disturbances. Rather, we say there should be. There may even be fighting amongst devotees, but we should not leave the preaching of Mahaprabhu despite all differences. Disturbance must come because our most beloved Guru has withdrawn from amongst us. Such a great curse has been thrown on our heads. Should we like to live peacefully? In its wake, disturbances must come, and we must undergo them. Still, we must remain sincere. We must face the difficulty in a proper way. It has come to train us to go in the right direction. What we receive from our spiritual master, we understood only in a rough estimation. Now things have come in such a way that we have to scrutinize ourselves in every position. We have to analyze ourselves. Atmi Nikshepa, self-analysis, has begun. We are under trial. What we receive from our spiritual master, in what way have we received it? Properly or only showingly? The time has come to purify us, to test whether we are real students, real disciples, or his disciples only in face and confession. What is the position of a real disciple? If we live in the society, what is the depth of our creed? Our creed, what is it we really believe? We live in what society, and what do we believe? In what attitude have we accepted his teachings? How deep-rooted is it within us? The fire has come to test whether we can stand. Is our acceptance real, or is it a sham, an imitation? This fire will prove that. So the disappearance of the Guru, there is no harder difficulty. And other kinds of disappearance of the Guru may be coming from us. We may feel that there's a disappearance because we're not paying as close attention, or we have some obstacle that we are giving too much importance to, and that's keeping us from feeling that connection, which makes us so very happy and makes us feel like we know exactly what to do when we have a question, how to get an answer. But many times that may feel like it's disappearing from us. And so that kind of test is like a fire that's meant to purify us. Okay. So in whatever circumstance we're in, we want to adhere strictly. And when I was first thinking about that, and I wanted to look up things on this, it first occurred to me to always, we're so much reminded of things like don't offend the holy names, don't offend the holy Dham, don't offend the Vaishnavas, and these kind of rules. But I found some very sweet sweet points that surprised me in Sri Guru and His Grace. And in one, in the chapter called The Original Guru, More Than Meets the Eye, Srila Guru Maharaj says, who is Guru? Where is he to be located? What is his ideal? What does he really want me to do? These things must not be dismissed from our ears. We must not give only formal adherence. We want the spiritual way. The spiritual man is going to the spiritual world to have the spiritual realization. It is all a spiritual transaction, and all conceptions of mundane, whether physical, mental, or intellectual, should be eliminated in our journey if we want to go to the inner world of substance. So we want to adhere to all of the instructions of our guru. And I think the more we understand this consciousness, that it's we're approaching something spiritual. We are ultimately spiritual, and we're trying to go to the spiritual world. So that's actually the purpose behind all of the instructions that we receive. And when they are emphasized so much and we're told we must adhere to them, it's for that reason. It's because with even taking these instructions up, but not in a spiritual way, not with the purpose of seeing our destination is that beautiful, perfect, eternal world of Satchidananda where we belong. So it's not physical and it's not mental, even though it may make our bodies, but our mind so much more peaceful, or intellectual, he says. So our intellect is very, very satisfied and challenged by participating in this practice of Krishna consciousness, but that's not our end goal. In fact, the conceptions of these, of this is the kind of relationship that we have with our spiritual master and his instructions for us and what we're trying to stick to, is something, if we're thinking in a mundane way about it in any way, then that is to be eliminated. We want to go to the inner world of substance. So we can already begin to have some taste of that. If we think about how much substance there is not a mental or intellectual delight. That's not the reason that he's giving us these. It's not just to make us, we're getting better karma or anything close to that, or that we're becoming some sort of a scholar, or we're becoming an authority on spiritual matters. It's not. It's because that's why he's asking us to do everything, and that must be our approach. All right. Now, another point on also about why do we want to adhere strictly, also from Sri Guru and His Grace, in the chapter called The Line of Sri Rupa, Distributing Ecstasy, this section discusses a categorical change is affected within the mind of a devotee. In the meantime, in the course of his progress, he realizes, oh, Krishna is of secondary concern to me. I find my primary connection with you, Sri Radhe. I want your direct service and not the direct service of Krishna. This awakening of the heart, intimate adherence, and obligation to the next nearest agent develops in a surrendered soul. At this stage, the devotee thinks, I shall derive more benefit by giving my closest attention to the nearest agent, my Gurudev. I shall thrive thereby. And it is his concern to sanction the upper connections. Of course, our intentions should be pure and genuine, and the business of that agent is to give us a favorable, normal connection with the hierarchy of service. So many people may come thinking, I want a connection with God. In any religion, people are thinking, it's all about me and God, and I believe in God and I want to make God the center of my life. Even after hearing about Sriman Mahaprabhu, we can think that or the divine couple themselves is where we want to try to approach. We think that's the important thing. Yet, this is a very important point that Guru Maharaj is bringing up to us, that we will go to a place where, quite honestly, and it can be one of the things that we get in the very beginning, as well as we see the more we're nurtured, the stronger it is. And that is more important to me than trying to approach Krishna, is trying to approach my guru, because he's taking me to service, the service of Sri Radha. So this is our hope, actually. We want to be that closely connected always with our guru. And sometimes we might feel like we can't have really strong faith. Our faith will be challenged. And as we were hearing earlier, it should. It definitely should be challenged. That will make it stronger. And again, in Shri Guru and His Grace, in the chapter Jewel Within the Palm, there's a section called The Land of Gurus, where Guru Maharaj explains, having accepted a spiritual master, one will find that his guru has so many disciples, and he will take from them also. His spiritual master will recommend some books for him. He will say, read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. That will also help us to get so many gurus through the books, where we will find many references and quotations from many gurus. So in our pursuit, and we want to be wholeheartedly absorbed in hearing from our guru all the time, we want to be perfecting our capacity to serve our guru, but even that might be difficult. We might not know what to do almost all the time. So here he's pointing out that the guru will always come in the form of his own disciples. And we can learn to recognize which of those are simply giving us our guru. And then it doesn't seem that we're far away, because we just reach out and we read together these books that are given, and we get to see the light within them reflected in so many of our guru's other disciples, those which are senior to us, and even if they're new, when the questions are sincere and the discussions are sincere, so beneficial. And also thinking about how to deepen our faith, I was enlivened to read this in Search of Sri Krishna in the chapter Krishna Consciousness, Love and Beauty, and that section called Autocrat, Despot, and Liar. We have to sacrifice ourselves for Krishna because he is the absolute good, beauty, and love. Faith and selflessness are required to such a high degree. If we accept Krishna consciousness as our highest ideal, then so much sacrifice is necessary. But sacrifice means life. Die to live. There is no loss by sacrifice. We can only gain by giving ourselves. So kirtan, or preaching, has been accepted as the means to the end. There are so many ways by which we can approach the souls of this world with kirtan. By direct approach, through books and by performing Sankirtan, chanting the holy name congregationally. By helping others, we help ourselves. We help our own fortune and our own faith. Not only will others benefit by our performance of kirtan, but we will also benefit eternally. So when we want our faith to be very, very strong, we must be prepared that sometimes we're going to have to make a sacrifice. It's not what we were originally thinking. And it's interesting that this is discussed in the section called Autocrat, Despot, and Liar, because the more we understand about Krishna, the further it is from many, many conceptions of God, and people even blaming God for problems in the world because he's not wanting us to be happy. It's so foolish, but it's necessary. The guidance is here. If we make some sacrifice, and a big part of that sacrifice is in trying to help others, and that way we'll help ourselves. All right, would very much like to hear other people's points. I know you have a wealth very close to the surface, actually emanating from you.
Didi, Dhanuvat. It's just
Dhanavad.
we're just saying how wonderful it is that you gathered up so much nectar, like really nicely prepared. That's not it's not easy. Well, for me anyway. It's so wonderful.
Actually, for me, it's not just that it's easy. It doesn't necessarily start off easy to gather, but it's this particular Zoom has a theme. And so instead of I don't have so much wealth myself, but when somebody says, speak on this subject, and then we start to do research. And for many of us, including myself, research was like kind of all the time before I met Srila Prabhupada, and that tendency can carry over. But the difference in this kind of research is exactly like what he was just mentioning. It's not intellectual, and it's not for the purpose of becoming a great authority or to try to capture within our own fist. We could write a document. So that's not our purpose, and absolutely nothing at all mundane about it. But it becomes easy because by pursuing this kind of research, it's like discovering one big pot of honey after another after another. And I keep having to stop and write down other points. Like, this isn't going to pertain to the theme that I'm trying to gather stuff on, some quotes, but so many other subjects that we encounter in the pursuit of this. So for some of us, it's a bit of a advantage to have a purpose, to gather nectar.
Yeah.
And it should be our just plain natural. We just can't stop because we're on a level of trying to serve, and there isn't anything sweeter. Like, why not? That we were, what was it? Just last night we were reading about there was the article in the centenary, the 40-year anniversary of Gaudiya Darshan, where Srila Gurudev talks about his two favorite shlokas, and the one where it's all about honey. Everything is about honey, and you can see, if you really want to know who is Srila Gurudev and why he always seemed so happy and why it was always seemingly easy for him to be tolerant, and humility was so great, we might not even notice this was who he was, so humble. And how could he tolerate so much? And disciples would not notice even what he's asking, what to speak of always obey. But if we ever wonder, well, here's a person who's not doing very well at all. Would Gurudev want us to still be nice to them, encourage them, try to help them? It's such an easy answer because of who he is. So that was the things that I was reading for this. I kept thinking about that point. That's who Srila Gurudev is. Like nonstop tasting honey. That's his idea. And troubles may come. What kirtan is that we were just singing? Troubles may come. And to the devotee, this is the source of the greatest happiness. So bring the troubles on because it's so different. It's entirely different than troubles. We want them to go away right away. We're constantly trying to solve problems, right? If we have some slight disease or a big disease, we want the doctors to give us something and make it go away. We'll even work hard for that sometime. But for the devotee who's trying to perfect their devotion, they're not, it's like if a trouble is going to help me to show what I need to do differently or to do next, or it's going to correct me, to let it come, like smack me hard in the head, and that will help me.
Didi, I was just thinking when you're saying that we're talking about Srila Gurudev always seeming to be immersed in so much nectar, because he was instructing us all the time to always see the inspired side of the Vaishnava and not to see the faults in others. And we've been reading Guru Maharaj again and again, talking about how we need to adjust ourselves, and that religion means proper adjustment.
Yeah.
And that if we do actually practice that and find faults in ourselves, or more try to see how we can adjust ourselves with the divine flow that's always moving, then Guru Maharaj says we'll come to realize that we are in an ocean of nectar, and Gurudev, like you're saying, is the perfect example of that.
Yes.
It's showing humility, tolerance, but not because, I mean, he demonstrated that and described that was actually a personal practice, but also that he had completely surrendered himself to the divine will of his master.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore no searching tendency for himself to acquire or enjoy, and so then automatically his heart is filled
Yes.
with all the things that you've been talking about, that higher satisfaction and
Yes. And instantaneously in him, so many times we would see him trying to do one thing, and then something would come from the environment. Maybe somebody's disrupting, somebody's not obeying him, or something like that. But he would let that go if necessary, because something else is coming to him where he can do some service for his Guru Maharaj, try to help somebody. And I used to wonder how is it that so quickly he doesn't have to like process things in his mind and work it out laboriously and go through a period of being disturbed. He was never like that. He would always just proceed in some way that would benefit the entire room, everybody who's listening, and if it's recorded, people keep getting those things. And it's because that's his constant position, is diving in that nectar. Mm.
And like you were saying then, like was Abhinavasundar was remembering recently how time when Gurudev heard someone was on the phone and he was hearing something quite disturbing, and the devotees were suggesting maybe we should take the call and you don't need to hear this, and he said no,
Yeah.
if it's coming to me, Krishna wants me to hear something.
Yeah.
Not that he was actually saying, no, that's not for me, I don't like that. Something is coming, it's good for me,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
need to try
Yeah.
to understand what that is rather
Yeah.
than see with my own vision, like what is
Yeah.
the upper will, or how would my guru see this right now?
Yes. So always even taking himself as in need of correction and development and needing to make progress, and even thinking like that, that he's like that.
Yeah, that some instruction is always coming, like there's divine will, like you would say, what is the divine wills?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with some, it's always because Gurudev was always seeing everything as service to Guru Maharaj. Everything he did was always seva to Guru Maharaj. So there was no separation from any one moment to the next, one situation to the next. Every moment, every waking and non-waking moment, then Gurudev is 100% committed to the service of Guru Maharaj. And
Yeah.
that service means adjustment, as Guru might say, because it's never going to be the same. There's no formula for reality.
Yeah.
It's a constant changing flow of necessity, and
Yeah.
that we need to be able to adjust ourselves into the flow of reality and not try to bend reality into the straight thinking way that we usually think,
Uh-huh.
And there's that thing with they say the guru says, "Oh, I want a glass of water." And then you come with a glass of water, and then says, "No, no, I want, something else now." And if you keep trying to press, "No, no, you said you wanted water. Here's the water." Then
Yeah.
that's not savor.
Yeah.
Savor means we need to be able to adjust and change all the time and read the environment
Yeah.
to see what is the actual savor necessity.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
in that way, what you were saying before about the other disciples of the guru in the environment, and how we can learn from everyone, and get a glimpse of also what is the savor necessity from what's coming through the environment, because we're going to the land of gurus
Mm-hmm.
where there's no question of senior, junior, whatever. In that plane, everyone and everything is coming to inspire us and to direct us and teach us and interact with us in a loving way, but in a fully conscious way where everything is trying to serve the center.
Yeah.
So we need to try and tune ourselves so that we're like Gurudev is showing us, he is attuned so that everything that is coming, he is seeing as service to Guru Maharaj. And so therefore he doesn't have any worries or any fears about anything, because everything is seva. Everything that
Yes.
he's doing is seva.
Yes. Yeah. Even sometimes he'd express how he could do some service, and it would almost sound like, to us it might sound like he feels anxious about it, but it's his way of reading the environment, and it's coming to him how to adjust himself. What that made me think of is when the night that he selected Sokel Ashram, that land, the night that he gave his approval, well, he had, in the daytime he had, and we had been searching for a year before that, and there were so many complications, and then it was time for his arrival, and we showed him one piece of land that was falling through. We had thought it would be proper, but it wasn't going to work out. And we thought that he would tell us, perhaps, he would tell us to fight, that, you must get this. And actually, it turned out he didn't even like that particular one. And then they said, well, there's this other land that, we've been looking at. We can show you that. And as soon as he saw it, everyone has heard, he took his cane and put it on the ground before he even got out of the car and said, yes, this is it. And that evening, after giving darshan to all of the devotees again, and then everyone left, it was about time for him to go to rest. And I noticed he was still sitting up very pensively. And I hesitated instead of leaving. And he just turned to me and said, I did not want to go back empty-handed. And I have thought of that so many times because it reflected his real thinking. Whereas most of us had been thinking, this is so auspicious, get a new temple, get this perfect land, all of these kirtans, initiations, everything will go on, so much service. And it'll be so nice. And so we're proceeding like that, but his adjusting to the environment meant, why would he have come? Why would he have left Srila Guru Maharaj and the Holy Dham, which he was always vowing there to take care of everything for Srila Guru Maharaj? Why would he leave there? And I just saw he had prayed to Srila Guru Maharaj, I'm going to get a place for you in that place which is on the other side of the world, which is so important to you. And your books were published in English for the first time there. So that's why I'm going. That was his purpose in going. And in finding that land, when they showed him that land, he was so satisfied. And I won't be going back empty-handed. So he could adjust to having going back empty-handed if necessary, because that would have been coming from Krishna, and he's always able to accept anything. But it was wonderful to see him express his deep satisfaction that now it was going to come together. So astounding. My gratitude to you all for these illustrations. Does somebody else want to make some comments? Please, or ask some question. In Latvian Lavanyamo, you either have a new still picture or you're live. Tell us your thoughts, Didi. I heard that you'll be coming to Villa Govinda soon.
Yeah,
Yay.
in 24, I think so.
Okay.
I think you are involved in this. Yes.
It
Then we
seems so.
see very soon.
Okay. Yes. And we were told that she wants to come and help work on this project, which is so auspicious, refurbishing the end unit. That's a whole topic right there. But right now, what needs to be done is so physical. We could have oxen doing the work. And Manindra Mohan Prabhu was telling us that Lavanya Moy wants to come and do this. And someone said, she can do? Because it seems like it's really physically hard. And he said, oh, yes. So by that determination, yeah. I was thinking myself, I might go out and take one shovel with about, this much dirt in it, so I can say that. That will be wonderful when you come, Didi. Alrighty. We could wrap up for this week then. And of course, I think 1 week from today, I think Madhusudha Maharaj will still be in Thailand. I think so. But then after that, he'll be back and we'll be very, very happy. All right.
Do you know what the theme is, Diddy, for next week? I think we
I have not heard.
Okay.
Maybe Udaran Prabhu has heard.
Yeah, I can say, but I need to check. I don't remember from my head.
Okie dokie. Something to look forward to. All right. Great appreciation for your great association. All glories to Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Maharaj. All glories to Srila Bhakti Rakshida Maharaj. All glories to Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj and all the devotees all over the world. All glories to Srila Bhakti Madhusudan Maharaj. Okay. Be well. We'll be together.
Jai Kumkum Devi.
Thank you, Kumkum Diddy. Absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
To the
Gratitude.
translator.
All right.
Dandavad.
Yeah,